is the founder and CEO of Reclaim Your Control, and an award-winning leadership and energy strategist for ambitious women in high-performance environments. With a background in sociology and marketing, and experience working with global brands including Unilever, Procter & Gamble, Heineken and Nestle, she brings deep insight into the pressures of sustained excellence. After transforming her own burnout into purpose, Ellen now helps women reclaim control of their energy, focus and time through sustainable high-impact leadership, and is a sought-after international keynote speaker and coach. Can we give a warm welcome to Ellen, please? Yay!
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. As you heard, my name is Ellen. And I would like to start by asking you a question. Have you ever thought of yourself as being an athlete? An athlete. I see some nodding, some say no. And indeed, usually the response I get is like, no, not really. But yeah, you're right. You know, if you are a high-achieving woman or man, juggling deadlines, decisions, and everyone's expectations, you are indeed an athlete, a brain athlete. Every day we spend so many hours thinking, planning, performing under pressure, but unlike physical athletes, we tend to skip over the most important part of high performance: rest, recovery, managing our energy and our boundaries. The truth is this: recovery is not a luxury. It's a necessity and a strategy for sustainable success. Burnout does not happen because we don't care. It happens because we care too much for too long without recharging. I know this all too well. I've been there myself. At just 31, I found myself completely burned out and depleted. And that experience led me to study what true sustainable performance looks like and how to rebuild it from the inside out. So today, as a leadership and energy strategist, international speaker and founder of Reclaim Your Control, I help ambitious women leaders to reclaim the control of their time, energy, and clarity, so they can truly thrive without burning out. Because in order to thrive, we don't need to work harder, we need to start training differently, like the athletes we already are. And so for today, I would like to share with you my signature 5-step focus framework to help you make a start in starting to reclaim control of your time and energy. So we'll go briefly through each of the steps. And the first step is to find and eliminate your hidden energy traps. And I say hidden because oftentimes we are not fully aware of where our energy actually goes on a day-to-day basis. We live in a world where the far majority, I want to say 90% of the energy that we spend every day, is spent up here. It's not a physical activity anymore. That's not the society we live in. It's spent up here. And it's sometimes hard to realize where all that energy goes because our attention is being pulled in so many different directions. So one tool that I have found to be very helpful in seeing where our energy actually does go, that mental energy, is to look at the circle of control. And some of you might have come across this tool before, but it's a very practical way of looking at how and where we spend our energy. So it consists of three circles, and we're going to start with the inner one, which is what I can control. And as you can see on this visual, it's the smallest circle. And it really is. It represents reality. What I can control is how I act and react. That's within my control. And what I give my energy to, once I become aware of it and become more intentional about how I want to spend my energy. That truly is in my control. That's where I can really focus my energy and get results. The circle surrounding that is already a little bit larger, and this represents the circle of influence. So this is where I may have some influence, but I will never have full control, right? And this is what I think, for example. I can never fully control my thoughts. My thoughts will pop up randomly sometimes, they will come and go, so I won't have full control, but I might be able to influence them to some extent. And the same goes for what others close to me do. But this is really people that are really close to me. They are in my family unit, in my immediate work unit. I might have some influence on that. But then we get to the biggest circle, and this is the circle of no control. And it really is the biggest circle. This is where we see what others think, say, do. Here falls the past and the future. And my circumstances, the world that we live in, the weather, the news, world events, politics, what my coworker is saying about me behind my back. These are all things I cannot control. And these are generally the things that have us preoccupied, where we worry, where we go into overanalyzing, where we continue to think about, but what if I were to do this? What if, right? But if we start realizing that this is what it is, it's not in my control. And if we start looking at what keeps us mentally occupied and see where it falls in each of these three categories, and maybe split it, what part can I control, but what part can I not control, then that gives us more direction in how and where we can start spending our precious time and energy, right? So that's the first step. It's really looking at where does our energy currently go and how can we kind of prevent some of these energy leaks that we deal with on a daily basis. The second step is to then look at optimizing our energy givers. So what can we do there? Quite a lot, actually. And I've divided it in short term and long term. So let's start with the short term. And I like to call this the emergency toolkit. That's how I use it myself, that's how I present it to my clients. This is in case of immediate stress or overwhelm. And we all find ourselves in these situations from time to time where I just feel like, whoa, okay, this is a lot. This is happening all at once. I need to look after myself, right? The first thing you can do is to move yourself away from that situation. And ideally, physically, move yourself away from that situation. If you're watching the news or if you're doom scrolling, step away. Literally. Physically. Because it's a clear signal to your body, to your nervous system, that you are removing yourself from that. Right? The second thing you can do is to take a deep breath out. We're oftentimes told to take a deep breath, right? Just take a deep breath in. But it's actually in the breathe out that we allow that energy that has been built up here when we are dealing with stress, with overwhelm, with all these thoughts and worries. They're all up here, all up in our brains. And that's where our energy builds up. I sometimes like to compare ourselves to walking lollipops because we have such a big, heavy head and this little stick body. So it's all up here. And when we take that breath out, it's kind of like a sigh. And what it does, it's allowing that energy to flow down. And it's an immediate signal to our body, to our nervous system, that we're safe, we're okay. Third step, go for a walk. Now, I resisted this one. I was a runner. I did not walk, I went for runs. Walking was boring, right? I'm a complete convert now. I go for my daily walk and I love it and I swear by it and it saves me every single day. Because what does a walk do? Well, it gets you outside. So there's fresh air involved. There's actual space, so you're not in a confined space anymore, you're outside. And what this allows you to do in a gentle movement is to give space to your mind, to your brain, to start processing things. So that's for the short-term, immediate emergency, right? So to kind of get yourself back together and make sure that you're physically okay and mentally okay. For the longer term, we can look at 3 layers of energy providers. The first one is the physical one, and it matters, right? It's also why I have the comparison to an athlete. The physical aspect matters also to us as mental or brain workers. So, 3 layers there: nutrition, movement, and rest. And when it comes to nutrition, I mean actual nutrition. Not just calorie intake, not just whatever food is available, but really how does it nourish my system? And this is something that we tend to overlook oftentimes in our society. We go for convenience, and especially when we're stressed, the first things we drop is to look after ourselves well, physically. Right? We go for the takeout, we go for the quick fix. But it's really the nourishment that our body needs to be able to perform well in the long term. Movement, I think we all know this, but I really mean gentle movement. Again, I was a runner, but I would exhaust myself running. It wasn't an energy provider, it was an energy walking. And this has worked so much better for me. It's more consistent, I can do it every day. I'm not exhausted after that. And rest, I mean sleep, yes, we all know this. We do need it, right? To stay physically well. Mental is actually the same thing. It's also nutrition, movement, and rest. What do I mean by mental nutrition? Well, what do you feed your mind? And this is such an important one, and one that we're often not very conscious of. But there's so much information coming at us every single day, and a lot of that information does not nourish us. It depletes us, right? So becoming more conscious and more aware of what it is that we're mentally feeding ourselves can be a true game changer. Movement. What's mental movement? Well, it means not getting stuck on worries, not getting stuck in overthinking, right? So allowing yourself to move on and to not stay stuck in that story or that narrative that you're in at the moment. And again, gentle physical movement can help do that. So that walk that I mentioned is also very good for the more mental movement. And finally, rest, mental rest. Yes, sleep is a part of that, but actually, we need to build in moments of mental rest throughout the day to help ourselves process all that information, everything that's already come to us before we go to bed, before we go to sleep. Because otherwise, oftentimes we don't sleep, because it's too much, there's too much going on, right? So building in small moments of rest during the day, mental rest, where we're not creating new input, can be very helpful in sustaining that mental energy as well. And finally, this is the social emotional aspect, and here I mean connecting. Connecting with ourselves first and foremost, learning to notice and feel what it is that we need, and also connecting with others around us, and real connecting, right? So not just the quick social media interactions, but really like, where do I get energy from connecting with other people? So that was step 2. Then, moving on into step 3, which is to clarify your goals, wants, and needs. And this is to recognize that we all carry many roles. It's been mentioned before. But we tend to focus so much on our worker's role, the work that we do, the career that we have. And rightly so, to a certain extent. We spend a lot of time there, but it's not all of who we are. We carry other roles as well. Right? We have our own personal role. We are mothers oftentimes. We are sisters. We are daughters. We are part of the community. We carry a lot of different roles. And all of these roles deserve time and energy. And if we only focus on our work role, then that automatically means we don't have time and energy available for those other roles that are also important to us. So for each role, I encourage my clients to look at, okay, what one goal would you set for yourself there? What is it that you want to get out of that role? So that we move away from the narrative of only including our work and to really look at our whole lives, basically, and all the roles that we carry. Then the next step is to use your time more intentionally. And this can be done by prioritizing, but not just prioritizing. It's prioritizing based on your goals, wants, and needs. Which means you need to have those clear first, right? And for all the different roles that you carry. What is important to you? What do you want to focus on? And this is probably a tool that many of you have seen before. It's called the Eisenhower matrix. In fact, it's called the Goey matrix. It goes by different wordings. But it can be a handy tool, right? So it's a quadrant where we look at what is important, and again, what's important to you, and what is urgent or not. If it's important to you, well then make sure you either do it right away or plan it in. If it's not important to you, then delegate if it is important to somebody else, or get rid of it altogether. And with all of these steps, it's really about awareness and intention. It requires for us to become more aware of how we spend our time and energy, and then to create a new intention of how to actually use it. Another way is to limit our time spent. And here I like to refer to the Pareto principle, which is the 20-80 rule. Some of you might be familiar with this as well. And it basically states that 20% of our effort accounts for 80% of our results. Now, this has been scientifically proven. It's an economic theory, but it applies to everything in life, basically. This was a hard one for me to learn, but a very important one for me to learn. I am what I like to call a recovering perfectionist. It's part of me, it will always be part of me. And I need to find a way to work with that. And that's okay. But when I started experimenting with this, I was like, oh, wow. Because I had to put in the other 80% to get to the at least 100% of results. I didn't go for less than 100% of results. I ideally would go for 120% of results, right? But it meant that I had to put so much extra effort in. Then when I started experimenting with this rule, and I went with 80% is good enough. It's already good, right? It's not like it's bad. It's good enough. And what I realized is I don't think anybody knows the difference. I did, because I had so much time left. But oh, interesting. Because now I was spending this 20% instead of that 100%. And the result was still good enough. So if you are like me, a perfectionist or a recovering perfectionist, I highly encourage you to start playing with this rule. And then there's another one that's based on time, that's called Parkinson's law, and that states that work expands to fill the time available for its completion. And what this basically means is that if we have a project and we give ourselves a week to complete the project, it will take a week to complete the project. Well, if we say, well, actually, I could see how far I get in an hour, I will sit down, I will focus, I will really work on that project for that hour, and I will get to my 80%. Good enough. And I'm done with it. So here again, we can play with time. Time is not an absolute. Time is a subjective concept. Right? So when we start recognizing it and start playing around with it, we can get results where we're like, wait, what? I didn't even realize that was possible. And the last step is to support yourself along the way. Yes, it's great to have a coach and to have somebody guiding you in this, but ultimately the goal is that you can do this yourself, right? So here again, I've got 3 levels of support: external, internal, and what I like to call spiritual support. Starting with the external, and this is probably also something many of you have heard before, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And this has come up in previous presentations as well. So we know this. The people around us matter. They either drain our energy or they give us energy. They either hold us back or they support us, they elevate us. Right? So looking critically at who we surround ourselves with can be a real booster for how we spend our time and energy. So becoming very intentional, who you allow into your life and to what extent and in what role. Internal support. This is about being able to guide yourself towards those goals that you have stated for yourself, right? How can you make sure that you stay on track? Well, there are different tools that you could use as needed. Some of them have, of course, already been mentioned. We can have meditation. I only go with very short guided meditation, as you might imagine by now. You can do journaling. You can do other things that really help you to kind of keep you on track, keep you focused on a daily basis. It can take 2 minutes a day, but it's just to keep you on that path that you want to be on. And finally, this is what I like to call spiritual support. And that's the realization that you are supported, always. Simply because of the fact that we all are. We're all part of the whole, and you are no different. There is no reason why life would not want you to succeed. Therefore, realizing that life is working for you. It's not working against you. It's not even doing things to you. It's actually working for you. So realizing that can be a great support in itself. So, if you feel ready to start reclaiming control of your time and energy, I do have a free ebook available that can be found through the link behind this QR code. And what that ebook will do is it will show you where you currently stand in terms of how you spend your time and energy, and then give you potential first steps to start improving it if needed. Because managing your energy means managing your power and control as a leader, and it's how you reclaim your time without sacrificing your drive or well-being. So at Reclaim Your Control, I help ambitious women leaders to gain back the control of their time and energy. And I also offer interactive workshops for businesses and communities that want to elevate energy and focus within their teams. So if this vision feels aligned with you, or if you feel that you could need support in breaking through your energy barriers, then let's connect. You can visit my website, connect through my socials. The QR code leads to my LinkedIn profile, so I'll be happy to connect there. And just remember that you are already an athlete. So please start treating yourself as such and learn to thrive on your terms. Thank you.